This episode of Digital Photography Cafe is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe. I'm Trevor Current, your digital marketing guy.
And I'm Joseph Christina, your professional photographer.
So grab a latte, pull up a chair, and join us as we chat about the art and business of photography.
So hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Last week we spoke about responsive website design, native camera raw files versus Adobe DNGs, and we gave a quick tip on how to add Google Maps back to your iPhone 5. If you haven't listened to last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it on our website, digitalphotographycafe.com, in iTunes, listen through the popular Stitcher and TuneIn radio apps, and now watch on your HD TV through TiVo.
So Joe, we are back, episode 75.
75, we made it and we are here.
We are here. Running late, but feeling great.
That's right. Running late. That is the case. So how are you feeling?
It's always just so crazy busy. I mean, I know. We always bitch about being busy and so much going on, and we're not the only ones. Everybody's busy. We know that. It's just sometimes, it's like, God, please a break.
Just need a little break. I look forward to doing the show and being able to talk to everyone out there. I think it's great. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Leading up to the show and trying to figure out what we're going to be talking about and whatnot.
And trying to fit it in.
Yeah, and then fitting it in for the week. But I tell you what, once we do it, it was just like, it was great that we did another show and that we get this, we've got a lot of really good response as of late. So that's really exciting. And it definitely makes, it'd make us both feel pretty good about it. So it's kind of fun. It's good.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, like you said, I always feel great after the show's done and, good information. We get it up there. We get it published.
Right.
And, we start getting some feedback about it. It's always great. It always feels like a big accomplishment. It's just,
it's great. And 75 shows is nothing to sneeze at.
Nothing to sneeze at. That's right.
So anyway, this week we have a bunch of, kind of interesting stuff, more meat and potatoes, I guess you would say, right?
Yeah, some good meat stuff this week. So we're going to kind of get the ball rolling with the business side this week, and we're going to talk about social proof for your photography business.
Right. Now, what the hell is social proof?
Right. So social proof basically is the idea of the populace, the general public, people who would buy your services, kind of talking about you, showing that, yes, we've purchased from them, or they're commenting on your Facebook page. They're interacting with you in some way, which kind of helps the rest of the public know that you're out there, that your work is good, and that you are probably somebody who they can trust, and they should consider you when making, their decisions about hiring a photographer. So in short, it's testimonials, it's reviews like on Amazon, it's, direct messages from, let's say, past clients in their Facebook feed saying, what a nice guy you were, or what a great photographer, oh my God, talking you up, this type of thing. Right. It's, and it's just general chatter. What they say. I mean, the people who are talking about you get more people talking about you. If nobody's talking about you, then nobody else is going to listen.
Exactly.
There's nothing going on. So, and from a business standpoint, you think about it, when somebody comes to you as a photographer to contemplate whether they're going to hire you, they kind of want to know that you've done work before, that you've worked for other people. They don't want to feel like, they're the guinea pigs. Like maybe you're the first client that they have.
Right. Yeah, so they want to see your portfolio. If, let's say, you're doing weddings, they want to see past weddings that you've done. Maybe they want to sit with you and look through some, beautiful albums, that you've created, that you have there for, sample for them to see, or maybe some large wall portraits, this type of thing. So it's, what they say, the proof is in the pudding. So not only do people have to talk you up, but then you also have to have some pretty good work to be able to show.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we always say you've got to have a fantastic website. Your portfolio site needs to have those images front and center, big. They need to be the first thing that people see,
Right.
because really by the time they get to your site, they very well may have looked at a half a dozen other photographers' websites who are local photographers.
Sure.
And, they've already kind of got an idea of the level of other people's work. So now they're doing these side-by-side comparisons.
Right.
They're looking at their work. They're looking at your work. Okay, I like this one. I don't like that one. So yeah, your images need to be first and foremost. But then it kind of comes to the chatter, the testimonials, the reviews. Right. You had mentioned Amazon, and that's so true because, by the time a prospect discovers your site, looks at your work, feels that, okay, I like your work. Now, they need to take it to the next level of the buying decisions.
Right.
Do they feel that, you're going to be able to do the job for them? Do you have enough experience?
Right.
What is your education?
Exactly.
How many other people have you worked for? Or are you a brand new photographer? Right. These are all kind of the questions that are going through their heads. So if you have these testimonials or reviews on your website, that kind of helps to put their mind at ease a little bit more. It helps them, be rest assured that you're not just out of the gate.
Yeah, now, one of the things too, do not forget, we're very visual people, right? So, what you look like has a big, let's say play in it also. Mm-hmm. If you look like, this sweaty photographer guy, that you look at him, you're like, no, this is not the guy that I want to be hanging out with on my very special day for 8 hours, so you really need to look presentable also. So, in your about me, let's say area, and you have like a nice headshot of yourself, make sure it's your best headshot. Make sure you come across as someone that's not, someone that's knowledgeable. You look like a photographer. You have that type of persona, and you don't look like, someone does not want to hang out with for 8-10 hours, because that's the bottom line. That's what they're going to be doing. They need to like you.
Yep.
And looks do matter,
Yeah, looks do matter. Now, I mean, you don't have to be, a model.
Right.
But you need to present yourself well.
Exactly.
And this is what we always talk about. I mean, as photographers, we want to capture portraits of our clients that capture their essence, capture their feeling, capture their personality. The same needs to be done with you as the photographer.
Exactly.
If you're not able to do a self-portrait that you feel captures you, go to a buddy who's a photographer. I mean, I'm sure you know a bunch, and let them take a shot of you. And by the way, Joe, you need to take a new shot of me.
We'll do it. Maybe we'll do it this year, a couple of days in New York.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I need a new headshot. But so yes, your about page is real important. That is the place where you can answer a lot of those questions that they may be having in their mind about you. Right. I know a couple episodes back we did talk about education too, and saying that if you have formal education, you really should promote that.
Absolutely.
That can definitely help put people's minds at ease, just to show that you're professionally trained.
And it's just a way to kind of, to show the difference between you and the next person, because we know that the majority of photographers out there do not have formal education in photography or in graphics or in anything that's in that, in that genre. So by you saying, hey, I was trained in photography and this is where I went to school, it definitely does help, and it helps a lot. We're not like I've said before, like a cosmetologist that gets a license from a board.
Sure.
Anyone could be a photographer. So you really need to stand out, and how you stand out is not just, your work, but what you look like, just like you said, your education, who you've worked for in the past, who are your current clients, how many clients do you have? There's a lot of things that we can kind of put in that about me page that answers questions that sometimes the clients don't even know that they even have, but it's kind of in the back of their mind,
Yeah, and now we might have a lot of people who are listening who are advanced or emerging pros who don't have formal training or who don't have a client list yet. And that's okay. I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere, but then you need to manage your expectations of what you expect to get out of your business. You need to know that you need to crawl before you can walk. You need to walk before you can run. You can't expect to pick up a camera, read a few books, go out there and start shooting weddings every weekend. It's just not going to happen. So you need to manage your own expectations. But as you develop your skills, even if you need to do portfolio images just to get up and running, so you start shooting friends and family, you start doing portraits, no reason why they can't write testimonials for you as well. And kind of like if you're doing portraits of these people, whether, let's say they're not friends or family for this instance. So you've got somebody that comes in off the street and you do a portrait session with them. When you're done with the session, ask them about their experience. How did you enjoy working with our studio? Right. Was the experience good? Is there anything that we could have done to improve our service to you? I mean, that's just good business.
I tell you what, Trevor, I had a colleague of mine, fellow photographer down here in South Florida that, he used to do that at the very beginning. He got a lot of testimonials and, put them up on the site and all that. He just like out of the blue started getting video testimonials. And
video's great.
It just, everything blew up.
Yep.
I wish I've done more of that. And I need to. But if you're listening and reviews are very important, testimonials are huge, but when you get that just direct face-to-face interaction that a video gives you and that feeling, there's nothing like a testimonial that's in video. When someone says that, listen, and you'll know, are they authentic or are they just kind of, is this just all fake? They're reading off a cue card. You will know in a heartbeat if this is real or if it's Memorex. You know what I'm saying? So,
sure.
If you can, video testimonial, God, that's a winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and even if your client doesn't feel comfortable sitting in front of their own video camera to send something to you, have them come into your studio. Sure. And what you do is you can easily just ask them questions, record their answers, but edit your part out. I've seen a lot of really good, like, kind of testimonial reels almost, where people are saying, oh, I had such a great experience working with John Smith Photography. There's the staff there, everybody is just so great, and the facility was super clean. I mean, just whatever fits. If it's a good testimonial and you can get them to do it, put it up on your website. It's going to be a great place to have it. Kind of something to keep in mind though. A couple years ago, the FTC, so get the government involved again.
Love the government, yes.
They really cracked down on testimonials and endorsements and stuff, right? Because people, a lot of, let's say, go back to these, web entrepreneurs, the bloggers and such. They were doing reviews for products.
Yep, gaming the system, as we say. Yep.
Neglecting to disclose that they were being paid to do these reviews.
Right.
People were endorsing products, not disclosing that they were being paid to endorse the products. Right. So for what we're talking about here, you're really not going to be violating the FTC rules. I guess it's always worth, we'll have a link in the show notes. I mean, I guess it's worth a quick read. It's only a short page. It's not very long, but to kind of just get familiar with it. But anyway, you definitely want to try and get some of these, get them up on your site if you can. If they're going to do them in writing, that's great. Try and put a picture next to them. Right. Have a whole testimonials or reviews page. Get, if you shot a portrait of somebody and they're going to write a testimonial for you, take that picture and put it next to the testimonial. Puts a
Yep.
face to the words.
Absolutely. Instead of just having a name, you have that face next to it. That's fantastic. That's what's really nice too about Facebook fan pages,
Right.
Because they'll go in there and they'll write something just fabulous about you, but their picture is immediately, kind of stamped on there. So, you could put a face to this quote unquote testimonial.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the second part of this whole testimonial thing is Facebook really is powerful when it comes to that type of a thing. So, okay, so here's the scenario. Pretty much everybody's on Facebook. I think Mark Zuckerberg just put out a report on October 4th or something like that said that they have more than 1 billion.
1 billion.
1 billion people using Facebook actively each month. I mean, that's just an incredible number.
Yeah, that's like the size of a country.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine that. But, so anyway, pretty much everybody's on Facebook, and many people are on Facebook all the time. They're always logged in, whether the web browser's open to Facebook or not.
They're addicts.
Yeah, they're
My
addicts.
wife is one of those.
Yeah,
it's
mine
the
too.
telephone addict. They're looking at the phone, but they're not like texting or checking mail or no, they're sitting on Facebook on the phone. So yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely addicts.
But what happens now is if they're logged into Facebook, okay, and you get them to like your page. So again, going back to from the business side, as all good digital marketers should, you should be out there, posting to Facebook and trying to really build your community there. You want to connect with your clients. You want to get them to like your page. As you post photos of them or comments about the session with them, they're going to comment back. That goes out through their newsfeed, the whole cycle of Facebook. But now the beauty is you can actually take the Facebook fan page widget, it's like a box, and embed it on your website. So let's say, Martha, who you just photographed, a few weeks ago, has liked your Facebook page, and she recently put out some things over Facebook, commenting on your image or saying, oh, what a great experience they had. And one of her girlfriends says, oh, I'm in the need for a photographer and, what have you. And then they go over to your website. Right. So on your website, maybe on your sales page where all your prices are listed or where you're really talking about the packages that you offer or what have you, you have your Facebook fan page box embedded there.
Right.
What's going to happen while they're logged into Facebook, their friends who also are fans of your page, their photos will show across the top.
That's awesome, right?
Which is really powerful. So now, Jane, Martha's friend, goes over to your website and all of a sudden she sees a picture of Martha sitting there, exactly. And maybe a bunch of her other friends and family who are also fans of your page. So that's kind of like the soft sell approach to a testimonial.
Absolutely. Having this integrated into your website is just second to none, because you get that, we always say we want to bring people back to the website because if Facebook ever just evaporated one day, you still have your website. There's been many social networks that are gone. We could probably put together a big long list that just didn't make it. Wave is a big one that Google bet on and that didn't work. But there's a lot of these that kind of go, on the wayside. So you want to always kind of bring them back to the center of your universe, which is your website. So definitely getting these widgets put in there. As you say, there's an app for that. There's a widget
there's
for that.
There's a plugin for that.
There's a plugin for that. So, definitely bringing this stuff with the APIs that are available through Facebook and other social networks into your website is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're on WordPress, you can go. There's any number of Facebook plugins that will allow you to do this. Facebook has their own plugin that will allow you to do this. You can even go to Facebook's site, grab some Java code, drop it into a widget. It's very easy to do. It only takes a little bit of time. Strategically placing it, though, you don't want it on every page. You don't want it just inside your blog portion. It needs to be on the core of your website, but not necessarily on your portfolio pages.
Right.
You want your images to be the king of those pages.
Well, that's it. So social proof.
Social proof.
The
Yes.
proof's in the
Testimonials,
pudding.
endorsements, reviews, and Facebook fans.
That's it. That's a
All
lot of
adds
pudding
to it.
there. Lots of yummy pudding. So anyways, guys, there's before we get into our next topic, let's go ahead and take a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
So, all right, guys, we are back. So the second half of the show, we're going to talk about, instead of talking about, we talk a lot about calibration, right? Well, we just heard from one of our sponsors in regard to calibrating your lenses. This kind of half, we're going to talk about calibrating for color calibration.
Yeah. We actually got a question that came in from a new listener on Twitter this week. Her name is Devon Rowland, and you can find her on Twitter at Silly Human Tricks.
Love it.
Yes, and at her
Silly
website, devonrowlandphotography.com.
Nice.
So yeah, she was basically looking for some advice about monitor calibration specifically, and was wondering if it really was necessary in the workflow.
Yes. So we actually both calibrate our monitors, but we use two different devices, correct?
Yes.
I think so. So for me, I calibrate with a Pantone device. It's called a UE, Pro, I guess.
Yeah, the Huey Pro. I think.
It's probably, I like it. It's really small. It does the job. I've used it for probably about 3-4 years. I like Pantone anything. They've been around since color was invented.
Yeah, when they set the standard. So.
Yeah. I mean, Pantone is Pantone,
Yep.
So I stick with Pantone. Now I believe you use a Spider, right?
No, I use the X-rite color.
No, you use X-rite.
Color Monkey Photo.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I actually had a Spider 3 system in here for a review unit a while back. And that's a nice unit too. So that there's definitely there's really like three kind of players out there in this space right now.
Yeah, so I mean, calibrating your monitor for me, I think, is probably one of the smartest things to do, because at least you know that what you see is really, what you get when you're kind of pushing this back out into a file form. So many people they're trying to do, they're editing photos and their monitor is not calibrating, and it's not calibrated, and they're like, well, they go and they have the stuff printed in, why is the meat blue? Why do they look kind of green? Or why are they so warm when they weren't warm on the monitor? You really need to have this, your monitor where you're working calibrated so that you actually see the color that, of what it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. But, I think the idea of monitor calibration is great, but that's just one kind of part of the puzzle here. I mean, It really starts first in the camera. Right. And then it moves from the camera into your workflow on your computer, and then finally to your output. Right. So, I mean, so Joe, with you being the professional photographer shooting all the time, what do you do as far as getting your color right in camera, kind of up front before you go into post?
So, the easiest way to do it is to shoot a nice 18% gray chip, a little card. And then, when you come into post, you actually have this gray card that you can go ahead and eyedrop on later. So you could shoot a white card, you could shoot a gray card, you could shoot what used to be called the Macbeth chart. And that's the chart that has all the little colors in there, right? Right around 2006, I believe it was, X-rite bought them out. And now that chart, as we call it, is called the Color Checker Passport. And we have one of those here in the studio too. It's a really nice tool. You can basically shoot that. If you look at it, basically it has like 3 different areas. One is kind of like a gray card. The other side is your Macbeth chart, which has all the colors in it. And then you have another area that has like skin tone specific and landscape specific. But regardless, if you shoot that within your, let's say your scene, and as long as you shoot one in every lighting condition and location where you're going to be taking these images, you can always go back and post and say, okay, here we were shooting with this specific lighting setup at that specific location, and here is that Macbeth chart. This is the gray card. This is the chip. We can just simply touch it with our eyedropper. Boom, that entire segment of images will now be neutral gray.
Right.
So
right,
it
and
makes
that's
it easy.
great if you're if you're an event photographer, you're going from fluorescent lights in one room to incandescents in another room to daylight outside. Being able to have this chart that you can shoot in each lighting situation can help you at least get your overall color set pretty quickly.
Yeah, speed is everything. The one thing that's nice about the Color Checker Passport is, and it gives you the ability, it has a software package that comes with it, and it gives you the ability to create a profile. So what you would do is you would shoot the Macbeth chart, let's say, the card, the Color Passport, and then take that as a DNG. Now it needs to be a DNG, bring it into the software, and then the software will actually kind of carve out and put little squares in every single square on the Macbeth chart. And so you'll know, this right here is cyan. This right here is magenta. This right here is 18% gray, and so on and so forth. And then what it will allow you to do is build this profile. That profile could then be imported into, let's say, Aperture, or let's say you're a Lightroom user, you can import it into Lightroom or Bridge, Camera, wherever you use the profile. And then from that day forward, you can just click on that profile, and that in this setting with this, this circumstances and this lighting and whatever, this is a perfect profile for that.
Right. Yeah, and that's really cool. I mean, because like you said, time is money. I mean, you've got to be able to get through these things quickly. Now, you can eyeball it, and you can do a global to all of your image within a particular lighting setting. But having a card like this is really a lot more convenient. And I think these Color Checker Passports, I think they're about $100.
Right.
It's not an impulse buy. I mean, it's something that you definitely have to think about, but it's probably a good investment to add to your kit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's small, it's durable, it's like a hard kind of plasticky type of substance, and it kind of opens up. It kind of opens up. Yeah, it opens up like a book, and it'll stand like three ways, kind of like a almost like a tripod. It stands, when you open it up, and but yeah, it's a nice tool. Now, like I said before, if you don't have the $100 for that, you could go and just simply use an 18% gray card, and you can get them very cheap. But by putting that in the scene and by shooting it in every different location and different lighting condition, you always know that you're going to have something to calibrate on once you get back into post.
Right,
and
to at least get that neutral color setting.
Exactly. And the beauty of this is too, if you're, let's say, in Lightroom, and you're shooting, let's say, an event, and the majority of the event is in, let's say, room A. So you know that all of these, 500 images are in room A. You shoot one, 18% gray or a Macbeth, card, one of the color passport or what are the color checker plus or passports or whatever. You shoot that. Now you could go and just click on it after the fact, get that neutral gray so that the color is exactly neutral. The beauty is then you could copy that specific Kelvin right across all 500 images, and they'll all be neutralized. So they're all within the same now, let's say now you're shooting in room B. Now you shoot that 118% gray card in B. You go and click on that in Lightroom, and then you copy that reading right across the next 500 images. You can basically bang through 1,000 images in a matter of seconds. Whereas, if you don't do it this way, now you're going in there on every single image and saying, okay, trying to find some piece that's 18%
that just doesn't
gray.
Scale.
You're looking, and, by the time you're done with the first 500, 600 or whatever, your eyes are cross-eyed.
Yeah.
You don't know if something's magenta or green or, you can't tell anymore.
No, you can't. Well, so that's in camera. So now before you can even see these accurate colors, now is where the monitor calibration comes into the whole process. And this is where, the Pantone Huey or the Color Monkey or the Spider, one of these devices will come in. Now, I know the Color Monkey photo, that software couldn't really be any easier to use. You start the software, you hang this device from the top of your monitor over a chart, you hit run, and it pretty much does its thing.
Same. Pantone does the exact same way.
Yep, it sets a profile for your monitor that gets stored in your system preferences under your monitor calibration settings.
Right.
And it's kind of funny because, we're all so used to looking at these bright, beautiful, vibrant monitors. Apple, they push these Retina displays, they're beautiful, they're gorgeous. You know what? They are, but they are not accurate at all.
No.
The colors you see on those monitors, you cannot get in output. It's just not possible.
Yeah, I get sometimes clients come in, they look at my monitor and they're like, God, this doesn't.
It's
I don't
dead.
know. I don't get this. Because it's calibrated for print.
Yep.
The beauty that I really like about the Pantone Pro unit, matter of fact, especially, is it allows you to do multiple monitors. So for me, I have, a big 27 Apple, then I have another 24 or 27, which is an LG, and then I have another, and I have multiple monitors. Basically, it allows you to calibrate one. It saves that specific profile and it says, okay, move it to your next monitor. You move it to the next and you hit the button again. It calibrates once again. It says, okay, what do you want to save this as? Okay, let's save this as LG profile. Then you can move it, you know what I'm saying? So it's really nice.
Some of these devices will even calibrate projectors.
Right.
So if you have a projector in your studio that you're using for client proofing,
Sure.
It's a great way too. You can throw this thing up, you can calibrate your projector so your images look great when they're projected up on the screen.
Right.
So you can pick can pick these up for, $100+. They're not all that expensive. They have some, I know X-rite has their I series, which are more expensive. They're really geared more for the professional designers in print production. Where getting those colors are like super critical. For photography, yes, you want accurate colors, but you're kind of doing more of a representation of a scene as opposed to trying to color match like a swatch.
Yes,
that type of a thing.
Exactly.
So there is a little bit of difference there.
Right. And that goes into the idea of, okay, I don't want any of my photos to be neutral 18% gray. Right. They are bland. They do not speak what I want the image to be speaking, what I want it to say. So, it's nice to get everything in line so that your Kelvin is set right, let's say, to neutral. But then, if it's a nice cool winter day and you have this beautiful landscape, well, do you want it to look really warm? Yeah, probably not. You want it to look a little bit cooler.
Sure.
Or let's say on the other side of it, maybe it's a summer day and you want to push it a little bit more yellowish, a little bit more warmer right across the spectrum.
Right.
Well, that's where the artistic side comes in, and you will then change the color accordingly to what you want the image to say. But
Right.
it's always nice to be able to get to a ground zero and then build on ground zero in comparison to trying to, it's like hit and miss, trying to push one
Yeah.
way, push the other way. Oh, wait a second. It was good, but now it looks like mud. Okay. So just being able to use that 18% gray, click on it, and boom, everything goes neutral. And then you could build on that. I still think that's probably one of the best ways to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, even if you are shooting events, you're not necessarily doing like a landscape type of situation.
Right.
You want to be able to get those neutral colors to start. And then if you want to tweak all 500 of those images to be a little warmer or to be a little cooler,
Right.
you can, but at least you've got that starting point. The beauty is that at that point, you can pretty much apply that new setting across the board because everything has been neutralized.
Exactly.
So now you can kind of keep them all within the same line.
Right. So, so now we have the images, we brought them in, let's say calibrated or easily calibrated. Then we, calibrated them in our software. Our monitors are calibrated. So everything is good. We can go and send them off to go get printed. And we know that everything is good on our side. If we want to get really anal about it, we can go and download a ICC profile from the printer for the specific printer that they're going to be printing on, so that we can soft proof on our end on a calibrated monitor and actually just hit soft proof, and we'll know exactly what it's going to look like when it actually gets printed on whatever that printer is that they're printing with, by just simply getting their ICC profile. Now,
Sure, you can proof it right on your screen,
Soft
and
proof
it will give you that impression of what the final output will look like. But yeah, so that is the next level, is your output. So if you're using a lab and you can get their color profiles, then yes, you can soft proof right on the screen. Now, I know a lot of fine art photographers are using the high-end Epson inkjet printers.
Right.
They're producing one-off prints, they're signing them and what have you. Well, with these calibration systems, you can actually calibrate your printers with them as well. You can actually set it up so it will run a color target, off of these big printers, whether it be a roll printer or a sheet fed or what have you.
Sure.
You can actually run the scanner right across the color swatches, and it will build a profile to balance what you see on screen with what you're going to get in your output.
Exactly. That would be the final, your final output. Let's say, like you're saying with that Epson, the one thing that you want to do and keep in mind is, let's say you use Pantone and you use their color swatch and their software and their scanner is basically what it is, and you print it. You print their swatches on, through your Epson, and then you scan them all in, and it builds this profile. You have, bear in mind that profile is for that specific moment. As soon as you change, one tank of ink, bear in mind there are variances in the color, in the pigment. So as soon as you change any of the colors in that printer, it's best if you go and run a target again and then have it rescanned. And that's if you really need to make sure that those colors are dead on. That is
sure. And you need to calibrate for the type of paper that you're printing on.
Absolutely.
A watercolor type of paper is going to print much differently than a coated high gloss stock will. So whatever you need to calibrate for the maintenance of the machine, changing of inks, cleaning of the heads, what have you, you want to recalibrate. You need to calibrate for your paper specific. Now, if you have all these systems put in place, and you're going to know that from the time you click the shutter to the final output of your print, you're going to get what you've envisioned. And that is so key. We need, as creatives, we need to be able to communicate our creative vision, and we don't want to be limited by the technical, by the hardware. So by creating these standards of calibrations, it allows you to, right from the very beginning of the creative process all the way to the end, to the final piece hanging on the wall, make that image look the way you wanted it to look. And
Absolutely.
it really is a process, but it's something that I feel if color accuracy is that important, it's something that you should be doing. Now, do we all do it all the time?
Not so much. Not so much. Well, I tell you what, I'll give you guys a quick tip, a hint on something that I do when, one of the $100 units aren't available, or even if I don't have a gray card with me, and sometimes it just happens, maybe it's not in the bag. I try carrying a gray card with me all the time, but if it's not, the easiest thing that you can do is just go into the back, say, listen, can I have one of your white napkins? Grab one of those white napkins, bring it with you. Chances are the venue won't mind that you have that napkin. You're gonna give it back to them, make believe that you need to wipe your brow or something. Take that napkin and shoot that napkin in each room that you're going to be shooting in. And
Didn't you do that in New York the one time with a coffee filter?
Yes. That's the coffee filter technique. So,
right.
But I do that all the time. It's just one of those things that just simply work. Coffee filters work great. White napkins work great. What it does is it gives you a nice neutral look. Make sure that you expose it properly, and you can use that as a reference target later on in Lightroom, and you will get pretty damn close with that white napkin.
Sure.
Pretty close. For me, honestly, I've probably shot, getting close to 1 million photographs, a lot, probably anywhere from 250,000 to 300,000 a year. I can pretty much walk into a room and within probably 500 Kelvin, I will tell you exactly what the room is at. And that's just, from doing it for so many years. And, but still, to make things less miserable in post, just shoot a coffee filter, shoot a white napkin, shoot something that is white. And then this way, you're not having to hunt for that 18% gray in the photograph. We know it's in there. There's techniques that, I can go through on how to find it, but without having to go through all that, just, the simple way of, the DIY is shoot a coffee filter or a napkin and you're there. If you have a couple of bucks, grab, a 18% gray chip, or like we said, if you want to go a little bit more crazy, and you have $100, color checker passport, fantastic. It's a great unit and it just simply works, right?
Yep. Very, very well. That's right. So, Devon, thank you so much for your question. And, especially thank you for being a new listener to the show. We really appreciate it. And it's funny. She sent a comment in Twitter saying that she was going to be doing a whole bunch of editing. So she'd be listening to our shows all day.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for listening. That is great. So all right, Joe. It's time. We need to pack it in here. It's getting late.
Yes. So thanks again, everybody, for listening. As usual, if you are not subscribed to the show, head on over to iTunes. You can get both the audio and video version over there. We have an RSS feed that you can pull from to get it for your non-Apple devices.
That's right.
Of course, you can get us on your TiVo. So definitely check that out. So, Joe, if people want to connect with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Twitter. Love Twitter. Absolutely. You can find me at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H.
Great. And you can find me at Trevor Current.
There you go. Show 75. Wow. In the can. Amazing. Great show. A lot of meat and potatoes, I think, today. What do you think?
Yes. It was a meaty show.
That's right. So, all right, guys. If you have any questions or topics that you like discussed on next week's show, send us a message through our website, digitalphotographycafe.com, or connect with us through Twitter at DPhotoCafe. If you're listening on the go, fear not. Everything that we covered during this week's show can easily be found in our show notes on our website. Once again, keep your questions and comments coming, and we'll talk to you next week.